Today's openings begin with Tucky's Teefs Dark Lager from Devil May Care Brewing in Winnipeg. This beer is part of a fundraiser that Devil May Care is doing with Veterinarians Without Borders. No real tasting notes, but they did put a story back here about how they found the cat that they put on the label, and a little bit about the promotion. That's interesting. A different sort of malt that I'm used to. This one doesn't say anything about it on the outside, so let's just dig these modules out, and it looks like I've got 5 modules. What are they? Got a USB-C on that side and a B+ and B- on that side, which means they are probably some sort of a battery charging module based around an IP2312 chip, which is one that doesn't ring any bells for me, but it's pretty clearly doing power supply-ish things with the inductor out there, so it's bucking or boosting or something like that. But as we can see, there's not much more going on here. I think I can see a trace coming off at least one of the data pins going towards those resistors, so it may actually want to communicate to the USB-C that there's a load there, so it could do some of the newer chargers. And there's also a couple of LEDs over here, so charging in progress and charge completed possibly. We'll see if the listing has any more information about these, because I can't remember which of the mini charge boards I've bought this one is. 5 or 10 pieces, Type-C USB input, high current 3 amp polymer ternary lithium battery quick charge fast charging board, based on the IP2312 chip, constant current, constant voltage mode, 5 volts to 4.2 volt. Right. Currently it's selling for $4.15 with free shipping if you buy more than just that. I paid within a few cents of that back when I bought this in August. Quite a bit to say about it down here. It's a 3 amp charging board, which is excessive for most of the batteries that I've got, but I expect, like most of these, you can adjust that. We'll have to look into that a little bit more. It is constant current, constant voltage charging mode, and it automatically adjusts the charging current and voltage according to the battery's needs, which should be standard for charging lithium batteries. Yeah, there we go. You can adjust the charging current by changing a resistor to achieve different currents down to 1 amp. Let's look closer at the data sheet. This agrees with what it said. It can charge various different chemistries of batteries. Okay. The chip supports an NTC temperature probe. The board I don't see has a place to connect it. There is the application circuit, and that looks pretty much like we've got a similar component count anyway. There is the charge current adjusting resistor. The NTC would be on pin 4 if we had one. There is the charge resistors. So for 3 amps, it should have a 45K. For 1 amp, which is closer to what I would want, it should be 135K. Leave it open for 2 amps. All right. I guess we'll have to take a look at what's on the one that I've got on the workbench here. So if I'm reading the traces right, pin 6 is connected, to that resistor there, which is a 64C. I'm not familiar with that method of marking resistors, but we can measure it and find out that it is a 45K or 45.3K. So that confirms that this one is set for 3 amps from the factory, so I'm going to have to remember that before I use these. Anyway, that's enough about that for now. Let's get on to the next item. And that next item is something sent anonymously to my P.O. box. I love a good mystery. What do we have here? It is some, just itty-bitty Ziploc bags. Yep, 50 pieces of 1.5 by 2 inch clear poly packaging bags. All right. Which are packaged in their own slightly larger bag. Those are pretty tiny. I suppose that would be good for keeping like loose SMD components or something in, or at a bag that size, suppose you could put dimes in it? I'm not sure. I've heard of such a thing. Anyway, thanks to my anonymous donor. Let's find you guys a link in case you're interested in buying stuff like this. Using the terms that were on that packing slip, it was fairly easy to find these. Although right now the shipping seems to be somewhat revoltingly high. I'm hoping that my anonymous benefactor found these at a cheap auction with free shipping. Anyways, if you are searching for these or anything else, make sure that you put the sort price plus shipping lowest first. Right, next thing that I ordered, I have no idea what any of that says, so let's oh, it's a nice coily USB cable. This kind of coiled cable is very retro looking. I thought that might be fun to have. So we've got just a USB-A on that side, and we've got, oh, that's that stupid proprietary Apple connector, isn't it? Damn it. That's not what I wanted. Oh, wait. 4-in-1. Oh, okay. It is actually USB-C underneath this silliness. Okay, cool. That is useful. And it retracts to get out of your way when you're not using it, and it gives you almost a meter when you stretch it out. Okay. Claims to be able to do 65 watts, which means it probably has all the pins for negotiating power delivery. Oh, let's give it a quick test here. Okay, so D plus D minus VCC and ground. It doesn't have the CC, so it's not really conforming to USB 3. Let's check the listing on this one and see what it promises. Zinc alloy USB-C 4-in-1 65-watt fast charging cable for iPhone, USB Type-C cable for iPhone, Xiaomi, Samsung, PD spring data cable. Woohoo! Currently selling for $6.24. Though it appears that other sellers have it for cheaper now, so it always pays to click around once you're on the website. Anyway, what is this 4-in-1 mode that they're talking about? USB to C, USB to Lightnings, Type-C to Type-C. Oh. Okay, or Type-C to Lightning. Oh, I missed that one comes apart. Okay. Can't believe I missed that slides up and out of the way too. And now it's a C to C cable. All right, so USB-C on one side, USB-C on t'other side. There we go. There we have the CC light. So this does support the various high-speed modes. Cool. For completeness, let's just test it on the other tester, which does USB-C to USB-C. So we don't have the second set of data, but we do have CC1. All right. So yeah, I guess that would support high-speed charging, but not high-speed data. But they never promised high-speed data, so I guess it lives up to its billing. And yeah, 4-in-1, sure. Although 2 of those are never going to be used in this household. Proprietary connectors, boo hiss. All right, next thing in, again, doesn't say what it is. They're putting fewer and fewer customs lies on the outside of these packages these days. This is, oh, hey, it's a kit of some sort. It is a digital ammeter kit DIY module, DC 5 volts, 35 milliamps, dimensions, DIY kits, amp current meter. So as I take things out of my kit box during my December of kit builds, I am restocking. Okay, so I'm not going to dig too deep into this one, and it doesn't look like it's got a manual with it anyway. But from what I can see, we have 4 digits of 7-segment LED on this side, a smattering of resistors, a few transistors and stuff, and then looks like one large chip doing most of the thinking. This is from EQ Kit. I've had several from them, and they usually turn out pretty well. Although I would be much happier if it came with some sort of instructions or schematic or component layout or anything else, but component values seem to be marked on the board, so should be able to deal with that in the future. ICL 7107 digital ammeter kit DIY module. All the rest of the same things that it said on the package. Currently selling for $8.19, which is exactly what I bought it for back in August. This ammeter is composed of ICL 7107, which is the IC, I guess, and a reference voltage source, an input circuitry, and a power circuit. Sure. Binary coded decimal output analog to digital conversion chip. Includes a linear amplifier, an analog switch, and display driving, an oscillator, etc. Alright, so this describes a little bit about how the circuit works. That's pretty neat. I'll have to bookmark this and come back to it later. Relatively straightforward kit to put together. Comes with a socket for the IC. That's nice. And I noticed there is a foam block in there that the chip is plugged into so that its pins won't be completely gibbled. That's nice. We've got a schematic. Excellent. Pause if you want to look closer at that. And again, since I'm going to bookmark this page, I will be referring to this when I'm building it, whenever that is in the distant future. And the last and largest thing in is another thing that was sent anonymously to my P.O. box. Another envelope in an envelope situation. Right? What are you? What are you? Well packaged, if nothing else. Wastefully packaged, but well packaged. It is, some those 5-watt resistors. There's 10 of them, and there is what the bands are. That looks like silver to me. That looks like gold to me. Those ones, I don't know. Somebody commented on one of the recent kit build videos that they're tired of me mentioning them colorblind. But if I don't, people are going to call me an idiot for not being able to read the color code. That is super low. Okay. So those are probably intended to be a shunt resistor or a current sense resistor or something along those lines. And that body size, I think, probably makes it about a 5-watt or thereabouts. I'll have to look that up, but it is, 7.3 millimeters across by 24 millimeters long. Excuse me for a moment. I will go and see if I can find a listing for this sort of resistors to link you to. According to my color consultants upstairs, this is an orange, silver, gold, which makes this a 0.3 ohm, 5% tolerance resistor. And 3 watts seems to be the size. Slightly bigger than a penny, which is about 3/4 of an inch. And this one was closer to 24 millimeters, which is closer to an inch. So I think that's probably right. Anyway, all the sellers seem to be selling these for really, really high prices. And I'm hoping that my anonymous donor was able to score these either on sale or at auction. Anyway, there you go. I will put a link to this search down below in case you want to take a look. And happy hunting, I guess. And there is the contents of today's Mailbag Monday haul. The last one of 2025, actually. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. So, an interesting assortment of stuff from the anonymous donors. I've got these little storage bags and these resistors, which I have labeled 0.3 ohms, 5%, and 3 watt. So if I need to current sense, those are probably the kind of a thing that I want to have for some sort of power supply project or something. Thank you to the anonymous donors, as always. Things that I ordered. There are these little USB-C lithium-ion charging boards. Seems to be a fairly versatile little chip, as long as you've got powerful enough cells to not get cooked by them, because it looks like the minimum charge current on this thing, other than for recovery charging, is 1 amp if I change that resistor there. So, interesting boards, useful in their application, in the right application. May not be the one that I use with my typical salvage cells, though. Regardless, handy to have a variety of things on hand like that. Then there is this neat little USB cable. I didn't initially realize that it was convertible on both ends, but yeah, that's kind of cool. Don't see coily cards around very much anymore. They used to be all the rage for, not USB, but guitar chords back in the day used to be kind of coily, and that sort of gives me that vibe from way back when. So that's kind of fun. And then there is this ammeter kit, a 4-digit digital ammeter kit. That should be fun to play with, and I'm going to assume that one of the resistors on here is a really low value to act as a measuring shunt. Typically, when you're measuring current, you run your load through a low ohmage resistor, and then you measure the voltage drop across that and do a little bit of math, and that gives you your measurement. So I'm going to assume, and I can't see it on here right now, but I'm going to assume one of the resistors on here is that sampling shunt resistor. Anyway, we will find that out in the future, sometime next year when I get around to building that kit. Well, thanks everybody for joining in the foolishness again. I do appreciate that. Thanks to the YouTube channel members and the Patreon supporters who help keep the beer fridge full and keep the mailbags rolling in. Another thanks to the anonymous donors, whoever you happen to be. Always fun to see what people want to contribute to my my accumulation of stuff around here. Well, thanks for watching. And again, this is the last Mailbag Monday of the year, so I guess we will talk to you, well, probably on Friday for the kit build, but then next year for the next mailbag. Thanks for everything. I will talk to you later. Oh, questions and comments down there. Yeah, right. Bye.